Hello and welcome to Hardcast. We'll see Rai having some fun on Earth while New Japan just crumbles to dust. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And I'm Christian Claus.
Lifeline. Give me Rai, Volume 3, The Orphan.
Issue 9. Lula and the Geomancer talk about her rings and all the people Lula has helped in the past. As thanks for saving her, the Geomancer gives Lula a ring made out of the dandelion. But the cops show up and they have to escape. Spylock is being held prisoner and tortured by the new Rai with reruns of his anime show. A reporter reports father's propaganda, and while he's out for a smog, is captured by a freaky-looking dude that I don't remember, and told that they will be using him to tell the, quote, real message. Then he's killed. Momo has a dream about Rai, and oh, the freaky-looking dude is Isaac, who has come back to their lair. While everyone we've seen is sad that Rai has died and is asking themselves why he had to leave them, Rai wakes up in the bowels of the creature he killed and wanders the earth, realizing father lied to him. But before he can do much, a guy attacks him, then more guys shoot him and get ready to strip him for parts, quote, just like the others.
Alright, it's been a while since Rai.
Yeah, it's been a real while. Since we've had something good on this podcast.
Oh, what about last week?
I don't want to talk about last week.
Anyways. That was kind of nice. I mean, again, I honestly forgot about this volume.
Oh, so you've read it before?
Oh, yeah. So, I think I've read it. I don't think there's much new Rai stuff, really. I think I'm caught up with Rai.
Am I caught up with Rai?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we got the big event coming up. So that, well, we'll see. We'll mention that at the end. But
the big blockbuster event.
Yes. I don't know how a comic can be that, but
will they at some point just call it the big Netflix event?
Oh, well, I mean, it wasn't called blockbuster.
Yeah, I know. That was the joke.
All right. No, but the thing is, I forgot about this volume because it's not to say that important things don't happen, but I remembered all of this stuff happening in the event in 4001 AD.
Okay.
So it ties in perfectly. So I figured oh, right. So I was kind of curious because I thought this volume was going to be this special volume that volume 4 will be.
Honestly, if you're looking at, say if we want to look at 4001 AD, and I know we do this all the time, but if you want to look at it like a movie, this is the second act. Or maybe like the beginning of the second act. You know what I mean? Because if you think the first act could be the whole thing about we're establishing the character of Rai, who he is, what his kind of whole thing is, and then we also introduce the new villain, which is then the new Rai. And then we have the turning point, the knock into the second act is then Rai falling to Earth. And then, the beginning of the third act will be Rai coming back and having his final fight.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So it would be about 2 volumes per film then, in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, not per film, but
per act.
Yeah. Oh, definitely possible. I mean, we've been discussing that since the first Ride volume as well. If they want, if they are looking for a comic, character with an environment that can make for beautiful CG and action and all that stuff, this is tailor made for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at how much they wanted to do Ghost in the Shell.
Exactly. So, but here, it's actually. Well, again, here you won't piss off people because it would have to be really bad for Valiant fans to be pissed off, I think.
No, but that's the thing. It wouldn't be the Valiant fans that gets pissed off. It would be people realizing that it's based in Japan, and then they'll kind of do all the research for it. You know what I mean? Like they'll hear oh, these are the actors for this comic that's set in Japan or in New Japan, and they're supposed to be Asian. And look at all these white actors, and they're going to get pissed off about it, even though they've never heard about Rai until they actually started researching it.
Yeah, all those fake hipsters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens if anything comes out of it at all. But on the comic itself, because again, it's the same issue as always here. Like each issue here doesn't really stand on its own in that sense. I mean, they have their own little things that okay, this is the issue where this happens. This is the issue where that happens. But it all ties together. So yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I do like as you mentioned, the anime or like the cartoon series. I love that concept. The idea that there must always be a spy lock. So you literally put subliminal messages in this franchise so that the moment, the current spy lock dies, someone who has been watching this show for all their life will suddenly like trigger like a Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, I just like it when people actually agree with a statement, I guess you could say. Like,
oh my god, I can't believe I didn't realize that where the code was.
What do you mean?
Like the pink words, they're a code. What, you didn't realize that either?
Nope.
Oh, thank God. I was just looking at that page again and I was like, oh wait, yeah, someone kill Silks for reward. Oh, okay.
Damn, I did not notice that. This was my third time reading.
Wow, okay, now I don't feel too dumb. Wow. I guess the problem is because you read it first and then afterwards on the next page you're told that there's supposed to be a code in there, so you don't necessarily go back to.
Yeah, but even so, I figured it was just something like, it's supposed to be such a stupid looking show.
Yeah.
That, the idea that there's secret messages in here is just silly. But you're right. I mean, good lord, someone kills Silk. So for rewards. Like,
yeah.
Great.
And it's somewhere else in the comic too. I don't know exactly where it is, but at some point later they also use that again with the pink text.
All right. Yeah, I can't remember that part. I mean, we'll come across it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but it's I don't know. It's a fun thing, and it's always fun with like in-universe art shift.
Oh yeah, I found it. Yeah, we'll get to it. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's just fun with an in-universe art shift. And especially with this kind of painted style, it doesn't make it as confusing as we discussed before.
Right, where there's that whole idea about how do you show something drawn in a drawn universe. Like I always loved it. Like in anime, I always remember they would just be like horrible artists. Like it would look like a child's drawing, kind of like it's gone down a level. Like humans are like the best art style, and then anime is kind of our art style, and then if an anime's art style would then be like a child's scribblings kind of thing. I don't know. I kind of like that idea.
I'm currently watching the new Cardcaptor Sakura anime on Crunchyroll.
Oh, there's a new one.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's not a remake. It's okay so far. But there's a scene where they're having art class in school. And, they're drawing a study of a bust. And it's so amusing seeing these, again, it's drawn well in terms of like the character designs. But it's funny seeing this rendering that is more rendered than the characters.
Right.
Again, it doesn't matter. Just it's something that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But still, it's just amusing, as you mentioned. Like it's kind of like that joke from that South Park episode with the whale. So with the killer whale, they've drawn like a sketch of the four boys.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, that's just purposefully to make fun of the fact that they're so simplified.
But that was the whole thing in South Park with Terrence and Phillip, right?
Well, yeah, they weren't actually supposed to be people. Like they
were supposed to be cartoon characters. Yeah, that's why they're flapping mouths, and they're like, no, they're just Canadians.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
Like what would you call it? Organic, like, well, not organic in that sense, but just things happening because you know what? Why not have it be this way, even if we said it a different way before? So, but yeah. So, I don't mean, I really like this volume otherwise, or like this first issue, because I remember the last volume ending with him, falling to Earth and getting swallowed by a fish. So I like how it starts with basically without Rye. It kind of like well, it gives you the impression that he is gone. I mean, we know he isn't, but by starting like that, I like the fact that it's starting like under those pretenses, you could say.
Yeah.
People remember him. We see flashbacks with him until finally we see him inside of this whale shark fish thing.
Getting reborn.
Oh, yeah, damn. Symbolism.
Yeah.
As one ugly mother. I gotta say, I do love the on page 29 when he slips the first panel.
Oh.
I don't know. Everything's correct about it. There's nothing wrong.
It's endearing.
It just looks great, especially with the fluids showing like arc.
Yeah.
You just know, like, you're gonna put in like an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon sound effect, something.
Yeah.
So, and I gotta say, I've always loved these kind of like scavenger outfits, like sort of like Mad Maxy kind of things. I don't know, just something about goggles and covering your face. You're immediately cool.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, goggles have always been. I mean, ever since TK from Digimon.
Tai.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, Tai, not TK. Well, I was thinking TK. Well, I mean Tai, TK, whatever. Ever since Tai, I was always like, oh man, I really want to have goggles. Like, I wish I was brave enough to wear goggles around. But of course, you can't do that, and that's why I became a swimmer. No, I'm joking.
Yay. Well, it's nice to know another anime inspired someone to do something.
No, not really.
So, but yeah, no, this is. Yeah, I mean, should we go on or?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I just feel like this whole thing is just so cinematic, and I just love the way the storytelling is also very cinematic. And I don't know which one this is, but is it Fred Van Lante who just left DC or something like that?
No. Brian Michael Bendis. He hasn't written anything for Valiant.
Right. No. I mean, I know it wasn't Valiant. I was kind of talking about left DC. Yeah, it was.
No, left Marvel.
Was it Marvel? I thought it was DC.
Well, I mean, writers leave and enter all the time, but the big one right now is Brian Michael Bendis leading Marvel for DC.
Oh, okay. That's how. Okay. All right. Okay, that makes sense then. Because there was someone on Twitter was just talking about, because he's been doing this running joke for like a really long time, where every time that he's in like a police precinct, there's some sort of like background character, like some sort of crazy person in the police precinct shouting something. And they're always like either in some like weird costumes that are like resemble some sort of superheroes, and then they're kind of like, what are you talking about? I'm Supergirl, or whatever. And it's like a running joke that's been going on, like that he's been doing. But one of these things that kind of, because I've only been reading Valiant for the last however many months we've been doing this. I've barely read any other comics. And just seeing these panel layouts that he was doing, and the way that things were set up, especially because they were showing like 15 years of just these kind of his this running joke that he was doing, I could see kind of this progression in just the way that comics are presented, kind of, I could say.
Well, like the layout.
Yeah. And
like the trends and all that.
Yeah, and then there's I feel like they've become so much more cinematic. Like the pictures or the frames of the comics look more like frames from a movie. Like I don't know how to explain it, but there's so much detail in the background. Like all these characters in the background, it literally feels like there's just extras in the background, which I feel like in comics from like a while ago, they wouldn't necessarily have done, just from time constraints and just no one cares. But now there's just so much meticulous detail to the backgrounds, and the way that they're set as well. It's like, it looks like it's a film, and less like it's, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't look like it's a comic anymore. It looks like just you've taken screenshots from a film and then put them in. They're basically making a storyboard. And I kind of feel the same way here with this comic as well. It's so cinematic, the way that the shots are set up, I feel, and the detail everywhere. I don't know. It's just this feeling that I wanted to bring out, I guess.
Well, I understand what you mean, and you've discussed that before as well. Like I think I once lent you a Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh yeah, and I couldn't read it because it was so
Old
old.
fashioned.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't know, like I get what you mean, and obviously technology has some parts of it,
Yeah.
like both the actual like the digital drawings along with better printing, I guess, and paper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason for like why the color schemes were the way they were in like these old like printing techniques. You want to have these bright colors so you can see.
Right.
Can't really do too many subtle like shades and all that. But for me, it's like as I mentioned to you before, how I don't really like when they decompress the story too much. How I mentioned like I don't like how they take a very short story and drag it out for like 4 issues, and they usually do that through this cinematic technique, as you were mentioning.
Yeah.
And speaking of like Brian Michael Bendis, he's notorious for. Again, it's hard to know if it's simply a style or a way to like save time for the artist. But he's notorious for reusing panels constantly and just dragging things out with dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like always like I've seen like a lot of like comic fans calling it Bendis speak, and it's kind of a bit like anime dialogue in the sense of, so it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man? Yeah, Spider-Man. The guy who dresses up as a spider. Yes, that guy. So what's he done? So he's being out there doing Spider-Man things.
And this would all be in one panel, or
No,
in, like,
over a whole page, maybe two.
Ugh.
Again, it was very well liked when he started because it was a lot more, conversational. It wasn't this whole like, like the things people make like parody about old comic books. The whole, come on, Robin, we must now do this. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the main complaint with him as a writer in terms of his dialogue. So again, it's going to be interesting to see what he does at DC.
Yeah, well, I probably won't. I mean, I'm sticking to Valiant here. They're my one true love.
Yay. You'll stick to the hipster universe.
Except for when Toy Harada or whatever is part of it. Peter Stanchik.
Oh, it'll come soon enough, I guess. Issue 10. Rai is taken prisoner by last issue scavengers, but he's quickly let go after a big fella named Lemur smells him and vouches that he's good. Rai learns from the scavengers that there's supposedly a warrior who cannot die that might be able to help Rai take down Fodder. Lemur promises to take him on a journey to find him. At the same time, Rai takes a sword from a cherry tree whose petals heal Rai. Meanwhile, Spylock is put on national TV to fight robots as a form of public execution, while Lula, Grace, and Geomancer plan on saving him. And Momo and Isaac figure out that there might be more of Isaac on New Japan that they can use as an army. Lulu manages to save Spylock with a cereal gun. Meanwhile, Rai travels far and wide only to reach some Amazons who worship the head of Axe from Volume 1. Rai manages to get directions from him before it recognizes him, sending the Amazons to attack. Lemur, not realizing Axe is a bomb, grabs it and threatens to destroy it in order to save himself and Rai. I love Lemur.
Okay.
I don't know, just something about big, beefy sweethearts.
You kind of feel spoken to here?
No, because, I don't quite have the strength that he has, so. I don't know, just something. I guess it's just the contrast. Oh, it's a big, scary guy. Oh, no, but he's a sweetheart.
Well, yeah.
But it works. It's just sweet. And yes, I mean, good lord, the guy just drops everything to help Rai, a stranger. It's like, wow, he must smell really good.
So we're going to talk about the fact that Rai just got to pick up what I'm assuming is Ninjak's sword.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Is it not?
It might be.
Because wasn't that the whole thing about how he died?
I'm going to look that up immediately.
I mean, wasn't he fighting some sort of robot things that was with that first generation of Livewire? Isn't that something that Father used as well? Like, Father uses Livewire.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely true, and they mention it a few times as well in this volume.
Yeah, and then Ninjak, when he dies, he fights Livewire and like a bunch of robots, right?
Yeah, like these spider robot thingies.
Right, so I'm assuming that would be Father, right? Some sort of incarnation of Father?
I'm just trying to check here. I'm.
I mean, it's the only warrior that we know that carries a sword like that. And the whole fact that it's like these cherry blossom trees, I mean, it seems like very Japanese, and it's a katana, obviously. So I would assume that it was Ninjak.
It would be really awesome if it was, and I'll headcanon it as such. But I'm looking at the issue, so the Fall of Ninjak, and he takes the sword with him on board the Ginger as he flies up to attack New Japan. And we don't really see anything after that. Like, we don't see it fall into a tree or anything. So not like immediately conclusive.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And I can't really tell from the design either. Like,
well, maybe it was the because he says a warrior much like myself who wielded a sword, so maybe it was one of the Rise then instead. It says, but was struck down where he stood, nothing was left of him but his sword, and where he stood, this tree grew. So basically, the tree grew around the sword.
Yeah, it's probably more of a Rai. Another, as you said, another Rai who fell to Earth, I guess.
Yeah, well, maybe that Rai was kind of built from Ninjak, maybe. Because we didn't see what happened to Ninjak. Maybe he still survived, or his.
Oh, I hope not.
He was somehow scrapped and taken apart, and him and Bloodshot put together and made some sort of super awesome Rai.
No, that could be interesting, but I don't know. I hope with the fact that it's called the Fall of Ninjak that it actually is. Because that's typical like superhero comic, what's called cop outs. It's like, oh yeah, no, he did die, but then we recreated him, and he's not quite the same guy. But like I said, they have enough leeway with the whole Book of Death. So that they can do whatever the hell they want until they get to the point where they have to like, okay, now we have to adhere to what we decided. But yeah.
Does this artist have an affinity of what is it called?
Affinity?
Like, affinity to draw people with just one eye? Or does he not like, maybe he has such trouble getting the eyes to look right, so he tries to cover them as much as possible, because all those Amazon women have a patch over their eye, which I'm assuming is just what they're using to, like the pirates did, to have one eye that's susceptible, like that's better in the dark.
No, I think in this case it's because of Axe, because his eye is
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But you're right. But then again, that would be Matt Kint, the writer, deciding those things.
Yeah, true.
So, but maybe he's like being nice to Clayton Crane, coming up with all these in-universe reasons to only give people one eye.
Yeah, but even like, is it Lula who also then gets her eye destroyed later?
Spoilers. Yeah, no, of course. As we've said many times before, I don't think people listening to us are specifically checking us as a recommendation before buying a book.
Yeah, dude, we have 3 listeners. I and one of them is me, and so I think we're good. We're not going to be upsetting the huge population of Valiant fans.
That's the thing too, because as we mentioned with Valiant, because it's so small, they like the output at a time. I mean, now, of course, they have quite the library, so now it is a bit daunting for a new reader if they want to start from the beginning. So I definitely recommend for new readers to kind of figure out which portions they prefer. Like if they're much more of a Bloodshot guy, focus on the Bloodshot books. Or if they're more of a Exo-Manowar, do that.
if you're more of a Toyo Harada and Harbinger fan, kill yourself. I'm joking.
So no, but it's but that's again what's so fun about it. You can like, I can get myself to read even the ones I'm not as interested in, because it's part of the story, it's part of this world, and it doesn't set me back too much.
Yeah. Again,
it's not like I get much more annoyed when I remember when I bought a lot of the #1 issues of the New 52.
Mm-hmm.
That was some of my first purchases on Comixology. Because again, oh cool, it's a reboot, I can join in.
Right.
And they had a lot of little stuff like that where one issue then mentioned, like, I think it was Superman issue 1, where something weird happened, and with the little caption of, check out the Stormwatch, I think it was called. Check out Stormwatch #1 for what happened.
Okay.
And it's stuff like that was like, no, don't. Like, I did buy it just because I was curious anyways.
Yeah.
But it's just like, dude, don't do that stuff like that. Like, do it where it's subtle.
Yeah.
Like, don't, because the way they do that, it feels so artificial in terms of trying to promote another comic.
Yeah, I had that problem too. I mean, that was one of the times when I actually stopped reading comics again, because I started reading Aquaman #1 with the reboot, and then at some point it was just like I was reading Aquaman because I had bought all the Aquaman comics, and it wasn't expensive. I was just like, oh well, this is quite a lot of money. All right, well, I at least have my comics now. I'm up to date, so I'm going to start reading. And then I went from like issue 11 to issue 12 or something like that, and then I'm just looking at it going like, what the hell happened? Like, if I felt like I missed a comic or something like that, and I was looking back, I was like, no, 11, 12, there's no, what's going on? And then I realized that there was a 4-issue story arc in Justice League that I had to read in order to continue with Aquaman. And that just annoyed me, because it was like, no, I don't want to buy now 4 more comics just so I know what happened. Because literally I went from like everything being fine to like Arthur being half dead lying in the water. I'm like, what? So I had to go all the way back and just reread these and read the Justice League comics, buy extra comics and buy it. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not, and the way they do it, it doesn't work as simply, one of those like 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah, and it's also not an event. It's not like a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a cameo that had repercussions in the other.
Right, exactly, and it just doesn't feel right. It's like if I mean, obviously they do have these big crossovers on TV now with like the whole Flash and Arrow and Supergirl thing, but they promote the hell out of it, right? And it's like a 3-day event, or actually no, it's a 1-day event or whatever, where they all like the episodes that week all play off after each other. So you just watch it, whatever, Arrow on Wednesday, Flash on Thursday, and Supergirl on Friday, and then you have the entire story, right? But you can't go from like one episode to the other and be like, oh wait, you didn't watch Flash yet last week? Well, sucks to be you, because now you don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know.
No, I mean, I kind of got that because the only up-to-date CW show on Netflix, besides, I guess, the Black Lightning, was Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And I came to that because Legends of Tomorrow was the last of the arc. So when I came to the episode, you had something happening, and then suddenly, wait, alien invasion? Arrow, Flash, and, Supergirl?
Okay.
I was very confused.
Yeah, I mean, I can watch I can watch that on Amazon here in Germany. They don't have it on Netflix, so I'm kind of catching up. I'm still on season 2 because I don't think they have season 3 yet. But yeah, it's good stuff. Other comic related stuff. I'm watching Lucifer. That's a good stuff.
Yeah. So Hardcast, where we go out of our way to talk about anything but comics.
Right. Hey, we're still talking comics. Lucifer's comic.
So yeah, but
do you know what comic? Do you know what comic?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. It was created by Neil Gaiman.
I don't know. I don't read gay stuff.
It was from. He started off in Sandman.
Right. Still haven't read that. So,
he's actually canon in the DC universe, technically.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
So yeah, I mean, this issue, at least the Rai part of this issue, again, not that it's not important, but anytime there's like a big journey portion of a story, it oftentimes feels a bit like fillerish in some sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way that they end up with this story, I'm not 100% satisfied with the ending of this volume.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think a lot of this had to do with the fact that they needed to have something happen without Rai, and they had to keep him out of the way for a while. I mean, the fact that he had to find Axe, I don't necessarily consider that to be super important. I mean, it's a nice little.
It's not. I mean, it's a great concept. It's not like bad,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like what I've always discussed, for example, in what's called Pirates of the Caribbean 2. The whole like rescuing Jack from the cannibals.
Yeah.
I love the fact that once that whole scene is over and they're on the boat, then like he gets the point across with, Will going, Jack, I need you to do this.
Right.
Like it's just one big obstacle. And again, it's fun. It's very entertaining, but just one huge obstacle that immediately you could cut out basically almost.
Yeah.
Because they didn't gain anything from that except Jack.
Right.
And it's kind of similar here. Like all we got were some directions. It's not like they got a new ally from Axe or anything else.
Yeah, they didn't gain literally anything at all. Like they didn't. Yeah, no friends, no weapons, no nothing.
And again, information's fine, but it's such I'm gonna say pedestrian.
But the information isn't that important because honestly, it could have just been right from the beginning. They could have gone directly to the Eternal Warrior. Yeah. It wouldn't have had to be that they had to get this information from him. I think it's just a way to make it longer, make us have Rai do something that makes him feel still relevant, but can kind of keep him on Earth for a little bit longer.
Exactly. But I gotta give props to Clayton Crane on page 63, the third panel in the middle. I don't know, it's very subtle, but I really like the look up there with Rai kind of go like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like it's so super subtle, it's not that big deal. It's just the lips and just the whole kind of because how was he before? No, he had his hood on before. Okay, I was thinking maybe he did the opposite.
See, that's the thing. He's just pulling down his hood.
Yeah, but I still kind of get that kind of like the hand, like, oh shit.
Yeah, but he's just pulling down his hood.
Yeah, I know, but I can't help it. It just.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know what you're talking about when I'm looking at him. Like, oh yeah. It looks kind of like he's looking away. Like, dude, no,
like
I have to deal with this motherfucker.
Like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Don't tell him I'm here.
So why do they talk in leet speak? I mean, not even really, but
Well, I think he did that in volume 1 as well, and I think it's just to hit home that he's like cybernetic.
And the ladies are just doing it because he does it.
Yeah. Well, again, they worship him.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that. I don't think there's too much fiction about like what would you call like less advanced people worshiping like robots. I like that concept of like, especially if it's not a real robot. Like, let's say someone just got like some iPad or something, and like Siri turns on, and people being all like, "Oh, great Siri, what shall we do? What would you want me to do?"
Right.
But like they kind of have to interpret what she says because she can't.
The magic conch has spoken.
Yes. But I don't know, I like stuff like that, and again, it's not exactly on the level I want here, but it's cool. And again, Lemur trying to do good. Lemur do good? I don't know, it's like, because he's smart there too, Like, Rai's ready to fight, and then he immediately goes like, mean lady, stop. Like, he knows that they care for the head, so he's gonna threaten to destroy it. They don't leave them alone. And that's the thing. I think that's what I just want in characters usually these days. Like I don't want them to. I want them to be smart enough for things.
Yeah.
Again, obviously he doesn't realize that it's going to explode, but I wouldn't blame him in this scenario.
Yeah, but it's dramatic irony. That's the thing. We know that that he's a bomb. And, we see him do something and like, no, you're so kind-hearted, but no.
Exactly.
But then again, was it Lemur who started it? Or did he start the self-destruct because Rye was close by?
No, it's the latter. Because he says so himself. Rye protocols enacted. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Rye must die.
Right, so it's not even Lemur's fault.
Yeah, no, but he's holding it close to him, and he'll probably die. So again, it's not like it's his fault that it's happening, but it's way too close to him now and close to them.
Oh no, because just the way that the woman was saying like, no, what have you done, kind of makes it sound like it's his fault, like he did something, but he didn't. It was just.
Well, it could also be that they don't realize it. I mean, they don't get that it's like just a robot head.
Oh well. The girls save Spylock and bring him to their home, where they show him some sort of device they need him to deliver to Father. I'm assuming a bomb. Momo and Isaac are on their way to Romania, where she believes others like him may be. On the island, Axe blows up and the women go after them. Lemur and Rye go to the next place where a warrior is, so they start on a long journey where Rye talks about how his body is healing slowly. They come across a woman with a helicopter-looking thing and a weird boy who repeatedly says that Rye isn't his father. Also, the woman seems to have a red mark on her chest like Bloodshot. They finally meet my boy, the Eternal Warrior, in a huge castle on water. But just as things get interesting, we cut to New Japan and the stuff Spylock and Lula are doing, which is getting some sort of climbing robot. Momo and Isaac make it to Romania. Back on Earth, Gilad reveals himself as the Eternal Warrior and declares that Father and New Japan will fall.
All right, well, first things first. Page 82, middle panel, sound effect.
Page 82, middle panel, sound effects. FAP. Man, you notice this, but you don't notice the secret coded message.
That isn't the only message I get.
Ugh.
It's not as bad, though, as that one I've seen on Tumblr. I don't know what comic it's from. It's like some explorers in a cave and all these bats.
Oh, and then they go fap, fap, fap,
yeah,
fap,
it's
fap.
just the whole page full of fap, 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 fap. It's just like, oh, God.
Ah, buddy.
But yeah, now with the important stuff out of the way.
Mm.
So, but as we were saying last time, too, it's very clear with the whole thing with the Amazon women there, or whatever we'd call them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, big explosion, and then they leave. It really was like just...
It was a side mission.
Yeah, exactly. Side quest.
Yeah, it was a side quest, that's one.
They're doing all the investigations before doing the assigned missions.
Right.
So, but yeah, I do wonder about, because I can't remember anything else about this woman. As you were mentioning, she must have some connection with Bloodshot.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we've never heard of her, right? I mean, maybe she was together with someone a different Rye or something like that.
Could very well be.
Because she did say, like, he's not my father, and she says no, but they are much alike. So,
well, it could be both, which could be kind of interesting then. Like, kind of like our first connection to kind of bridging the gap between Rye and Bloodshot.
Yeah.
Because there has to be one. Like, it just feels too silly if it's just coincidence.
It's just so weird. Like, I don't know. I mean, it feels like this child is just sitting outside waiting for his father to come back. And then any man who kind of comes up is like, hi, how are you doing? You're not my father. And it's like, okay. Because like, there's nothing else that this child is saying. It's just, you aren't my father. It's like, all right, cool. And then he just starts fighting.
Oh, stranger danger, Chris.
See, if this was any other comic universe, I would go to Google right now and just Google it. Be all like, who the fuck is Reiko? You know? And why does that woman have a bloodshot sign on her chest? And I would get an answer. But the thing is, with Valiant, I won't get an answer. Because no one cares enough to write it down.
Oh, or
I'm going to have to figure this out myself.
It might not have been decided yet.
Yeah, oh, God.
So which again is the fun part of reading Valiant, I feel. Like, it feels a lot more like how I feel like how it is like watching an anime or like reading a manga, where you realize at some point when you've gone really far into a series, you look back and realize how much has changed.
Yeah.
You know, you look back and like, oh wow, like those characters are like not important anymore at all. And this villain who was like the villain for the entire first arc is now like a companion.
Yeah, well, Vegeta, Piccolo,
yeah, but
Tenshin Han.
No, but exactly. I mean, you can't think the way you were thinking in the past, you know, with the
characters. Oh my God. I just realized that every single companion, everyone from the Z Fighters used to be an enemy of Goku's.
Yeah, in some form or other, yeah. I mean, Krillin would have been like he was just an asshole.
Yeah, he was an asshole and like a rival. Oh my God. So, Goku can make enemies his friends.
Except only if they're somewhat human looking. So,
yeah, true.
Piccolo's the biggest stretch.
Right.
Everyone else is like Frieza, gross. Cell, gross.
Boo? He did it with Boo.
Yeah, but that was Hercule or Mr. Satan.
Anyway.
So, but that's what I mean, though. That's what I love about Valiant, and that's one of the reasons, which I mentioned, what I like about like the Imperium stuff and like Harada. The fact that while we're reading at this point, things are different. The stakes are different. The status quo is different.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just talk about, you know, oh yeah, it's the usual setup with, you know, the renegades fighting Harada and Harada striking back. It's like, nope, it's totally different stuff now. Like, the main characters of Harbinger aren't even in it anymore.
Yeah.
No, I mean, again, you know, I'm not saying that means, you know, that equals quality. But it just makes it feel like we're actually moving with the story, like alongside.
Yeah, it's developing. Yeah.
And that feels fun. Like, you know, we're actually, oh, this is the part where Rai isn't in New Japan anymore. Like, different setup. Yeah, no, again, I'm not saying these kinds of things don't happen in other comics, but I feel like in DC and Marvel, you know, sure, unless they have like a really cool new thing they introduce that everyone loves, they tend to have a kind of, you know, status quo, like, okay, this is how it should be. You know, we can fiddle a bit, but in the end, this is how the world is set up.
Right, but my problem with this kind of stuff is I have this fear of the writers forgetting about it. And because I don't know, I mean, like you were talking about, like with anime and like mangas and stuff like that, because you also always like this thing where they will introduce a character that becomes really important later on. But the thing is, these kind of anime and manga, these kind of stuff, they come out so quickly, and they're usually done by one person who just does it all and stuff like that. So they have this plan set up of what they want to do, and like especially with this, where they specifically have this woman with a red dot on her chest, and have this guy who's talking about father and stuff like that. I just want to know, and I don't want to wait 2 or 3 years to find out what the hell is up with her. You know what I mean? Because there's so much going on in this world. I doubt that, like, I mean, we have to go through that whole 4001 AD thing before we probably get back to her. This is the box delivered to the detective that he leaves on the desk while he finishes this next the case that he's on. And so the idea is that, I mean, for those who don't know what this is, it's like a storytelling kind of technique. It's this idea that a detective, while working on a current case, gets a box delivered to him that he then places on his desk and continues working on the case that he's working on. So then when he's finished with the case, the camera can just basically pan to the box, the new box that he has, and then everyone's interested, like, oh, what's in the box? That's when his next case is going to start, and stuff like that. So this is what this thing is here. This woman and this child are here to make us talk about it, to make us think about it, and go like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to be then the next mystery, or the thing that Rai has to work on, or they're going to become big after 4001 AD. But for me personally, I just want to find out who they are. And that's what I think is so great about DC and Marvel and stuff like that, is that they kind of reuse a lot of stuff. You know, like if I'm interested in like, say, like Black Panther, for example, I can go online and do a little bit of research and figure out, okay, what's like the normal relationship between Black Panther and Killmonger, for example. You know, I can kind of get a little feeling of, oh, well, this is it's going to be a little bit like this. It's going to reflect a lot of these kind of things in the movie then probably. And, oh, this kind of sounds interesting, and I want to see this kind of stuff. Infinity War, you can kind of think what's going to happen with that Thanos and stuff like that. Because that's the thing, right after whatever the first movie was where you saw Thanos, I was immediately Googling, who is that guy? Right? And it's like, oh, it's Thanos, and he has the gauntlet, and oh, it's going to be all like Infinity Stones, and you can kind of think about how the whole universe is going to be set up. But with this, I know that I cannot find anything about this woman, and I'm going to have to wait 2 years to find out who this woman is, if they even do it. Maybe they come up with a better idea in 2 years, and then I'm going to be sitting here thinking about this woman for the rest of my life. I'm going to have to write some Rai fan fiction or something.
Oh, yes, please.
And then he fucked her. The end.
I am your
Are
father
you my
now,
father?
kid.
Yeah, I'm your father now, bitch. Like while he's having sex with her, just staring at the guy. I'm your father now, bitch. This podcast is not PG friendly, right?
So yeah, and again, these comics aren't either.
But they still take out those swears.
Chris, you don't want to be upset.
Should we talk about my boy?
Yeah, and again, this, as we've discussed, he definitely is the, publishing wise, Exo Manowar is the cornerstone of Valiant, like for the reboot.
Yes. Yeah.
But in universe, most definitely, what's called Gilad is like the cornerstone.
Gilad is the most awesome.
That last splash page. Not exciting, but just it looks so cool.
Right.
And again, like, oh man, how many thousands of years could it be now? Because like he's an old Sumerian. Like, how old is that? That's one of the first civilizations.
Maybe like 7,000, 8,000 years old.
Yeah, and more I could consider.
Well, would he? I don't know. The question is, how does he count his age?
Oh, like if you're going from what's called year 0 and stuff?
Yeah, well, no, not just about that, but I'm thinking more like, because he does mention the next comic that, or the next issue, that he can die, but he keeps being revived.
Right, you'll see that in a few issues, in a few episodes.
Well, because I don't know how that exactly is, if there's any time that passes between his death. Like if it's like one of those things where he just like he's dead and he just does the whole thing and then like is back to life.
You'll see.
Okay, all right.
A lot of detail in the next Eternal Warrior comic.
Oh yeah, I'm so looking forward to that.
Actually, that's a quick look.
No, don't tease me, man.
No, dude, it's gonna be not the next one, but the one after that.
Oh fuck yeah.
So 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. Anyway, oh man, Gilad is just the best. Seriously, I know this is like a total pipe dream and it's like the stupidest thing ever to even mention this out loud, but man, I would just so love to be like the actor for this dude. Like, that's like the biggest pipe dream. If that would ever come in like ever, even like a fan film or some shit like that, I would be happy for the rest of my life.
Well, Chris, if it makes you feel any better, I feel you do a better job than Dave Bautista.
Yeah, see, I don't. Yeah.
No, but again, it's not the acting part, but it's like you said, he's a little too beefy.
Yeah, it's not the type. Yeah.
Like But yeah, either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, just really cool. And again, the whole thing with having the Eternal Warrior, you have this perfect guy who can connect. Like, because that's the whole thing, which is kind of cool with Valiant too. As we mentioned, the fact that he sort of have two like parallel timelines, I guess you could say. Like not different the timelines, but we have the present timeline and the future timeline.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have both him and like I have our Time Walker and stuff like that. You know, that fact that people can be part of everything. I mean, heck, even back in the 90s, I loved in the Unity event. You have two Gilads joining up, like future Gilad and present day Gilad.
Okay.
Which is just kind of cool, having them kind of talk to each other, bicker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the even older, because again, present Gilad is still thousands of years old, so it's not like he's a child. But then he has someone who's even older and like, you know, so what should we do? Well, we should do this.
Listen here, youngster. Dude, I'm 1,000 years old, thousands of years old. Oh yeah, well I'm 1,000,000 years old, so come here. Respect your elders, bitch.
Right. Nah, but that's the kind of thing there. Just kind of, I don't know, just fun. It's cool. And it's the stuff that I always like with any kind of story, when things just like fit together.
Yeah.
Issue 12. Isaac keeps fighting the other monsters all the while Momo hides with the bird. The bird causes a distraction that lets Isaac beat the former leader, making himself the commander of the creatures, leading to them invading the rest of New Japan. Rai, Gilad, and Lemur walk through a swamp as they reach a place that supposedly will help them get to New Japan. Spylock and Lula get attacked by the new Rai, falling to the pit of their destination. New Rai cuts out Lula's right eye and proceeds to seemingly kill Spylock. Lula manages to push the super bomb into the center, but rather than just killing fodder, it seems to destroy all of New Japan. Rai's trio sees it from Earth, and Rai figures out it's too late, but Gilad has other ideas.
So yeah, here you can see right away on page 115 is the next secret message in the cartoon show called Lee. Now is the time to strike.
Oh, man. Again, you know, obvious too, but I guess figured it as kind of like the usual kind of boldening text in comics.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because it was bold anyway, and then they were like, oh, let's bold it even more to make it look more anime-like, and never really thought about it, but yeah.
I gotta say, with the look of that, I'm assuming that's CG animated then.
Yeah, probably.
No, but you know, in terms of, okay, the proportions aren't human, but you know, the texturing is.
Yeah.
So I guess this is Pixar's latest film.
They've grown up with their audience.
Exactly. Well, that's a pretty typical joke I've seen in a lot of more like cynical future scenarios. And it's not totally out of the blue, considering, you know, like the stuff where, you know, kids are allowed to see today compared to, you know, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's usually always, people always joke with that. Like, yeah, you'll probably get to see a bunch of awful stuff like that. You know, or like they're allowing more swears and whatnot.
It's the night of shit.
So yeah, no, it's just little stuff like that. But I gotta agree, just like on the point immediately, because this kind of, I think this is part of the reason why I kind of forgot about this volume. Because the way it ends, it's like immediately continues in 4001 AD.
Okay.
So I think I just kind of combined the events here into 4001 AD.
How long until 4001 AD?
Oh, well, let's see. Oh, not super long.
Only 10 episodes.
Yeah.
What, seriously?
Something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Ah.
Or a little bit more, because I was counting from the new Eternal Warrior comic. So like 13.
Okay, so 13. All right.
So, but yeah, that's where it kind of feels a bit too... I mean, I was mentioning Pirates of the Caribbean 2 last time, or like earlier.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the equivalent end almost of what's become of my ship. Again, it's been long enough. I don't want to spend another hour with the film.
Yeah.
But just like, oh man, all this stuff happening and not really satisfying in terms of like arcs and connections. And this is kind of the same thing here. Like, well, gotta wait another year.
Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be the same thing with Infinity War, man.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I mean, it's gonna be in May. We're gonna see it, and it's all gonna be like, it's gonna be amazing. And then in the middle of the action, it's just gonna be like, part 2 coming in a year.
We'll see how it goes. Maybe they figured, you know what, let's just end it with this. Let's cancel those future films.
Yeah, totally.
We made enough money.
Yeah. What was it? $14 billion or $17 billion? One of those two. I've read today. Is how much the Marvel movies have made combined.
I'm just hearing way too many high numbers these days. So the value of a dollar is lost on me right now.
Yeah.
Like that almost sounds less than what I'd imagine.
Right.
I mean, that's so much money, and still I'm kind of like, oh, really? Not more?
Well.
And it's for fiction. It's for make-believe.
Right. But then again, in a way of life imitating art, they actually opened up with $1 million, they opened up a STEM, what would you call it? Like a center in Oakland with the profits from the Black Panther movie.
That's nice.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. Just like in the end of just like kind of like at the end of the movie where he opened up the Wakandan outreach program in Oakland.
I think it was bad Oakland. For anyone going there and like, okay, so when can we visit Wakanda?
And I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
It's hard to know how many people actually do think it exists, because it could be so many people just trolling or people like playing in on a joke.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, guys, it's like going like about Latveria or something. So,
and then the funny thing is that people don't know enough about Eastern Europe that they'd be like, wait, Latveria does exist. What are you talking about? But then again, there are people who believe that unicorns existed, and there's also people who believe that dolphins aren't real. So, yeah. Or was it reindeer? Right, they think that reindeer aren't real.
Is that from, was that from that anime, or?
I don't know, what are you talking about?
Well, yeah, the Azumanga Daioh had that with the girl that you like, the sports girl. Because she's such an idiot.
Really? I can't remember that.
Yeah, they had something where they're mentioning about, I would love to see reindeer, a girl says, and then she starts laughing at her, like, pointing, like, she believes in reindeer.
I just use that example because they use it on How I Met Your Mother as well.
Oh, really? I'm pretty sure it was reindeer in Azumanga, too.
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, because it is like a whole thing, like, well, Santa Claus isn't real, and he has reindeer, flying reindeer. So why would they? Yeah, anyway. So back to the comic.
But again, it just, as we've said many times before, that's the stamp of approval from us.
Right.
I mean, with Imperium, we were just going on and on about every minute detail.
Yeah, because every minute detail sucked.
But here, everything's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it just works. I mean, it's beautiful. The story is nice. I mean, I'm not too happy with the whole, like, everything happening without Rai. Like, that they basically, or what seems like, took down New Japan by pushing a thing in a thing. It feels very Star Warsy,
Yeah, let's get the explosive device into the other thing to make the whole thing go.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, unlike Star Wars in that sense, here it's actually has some negative consequences. And I mean, just that whole spiel that she has at the end too. I mean, I love that. It's just so sad the way she writes it. Just going, I'm glad I wrote it on paper, because then it might burn and no one will know it was me.
Right.
It's like, oh, a little girl just wanted to be a revolutionary and didn't want the consequences. So, but I don't know, it's just really cool. We didn't really mention it before, though. His design was, revealed the last volume of the Rai. But I do like number 11.
Yeah.
Or X, or no, Z. Yeah, because they have like the XI on his face as well, so we don't forget.
Yeah.
It's a cool design. It's a very clearly like, okay, it's the evil version.
Yeah, exactly.
And oh man, like Spylock's again. I said supposed death because it's not like entirely, you know.
Yeah, but
I've seen worse.
yeah,
I've seen worse. I've seen people come back from worse.
yeah,
Which is again is the big problem with these kinds of superhero universes.
yeah. But still, I mean, with Spylock, how he said that, he already kind of explained that there will be someone else there right away. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be Lula.
Well, yeah, she lost her eye, so it's like perfect.
Yeah, not only that, but also, she was wearing kind of that blue outfit. And not only that, but they even mentioned that she has seen every single episode at some point, and they kind of made a big deal out of, like, he did say something about like, yeah, someone's going to be watching every single episode, and then as soon as I die, they get activated or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that it's going to be her. I mean, but you already know anyway, so what am I even telling you?
Well, again, it's little details that I can't quite remember because after 4001 AD, I don't think there's been any more Rai stuff.
Okay.
Like from what I've been keeping track of, like I'm very far behind. So, but I can't remember any like because Rai is always special because he only comes every so often.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, yeah, I think I would have noticed like if there's new Rai with whatever subtitle or something, or if it just continues from Rai Volume 4, which would be the next one. So, but I don't know. It's a nice end to it all, though not a real end as we were kind of mentioning.
Yeah.
It's just right before the big stuff.
Yeah, and just I mean, I would just really want to see the big stuff. I really just want to get 4001 AD and just read it now. I mean, I won't obviously, but I don't want to wait the.
And you're too cheap to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm too poor to buy it.
Oh, is that what everyone's calling it now? So yeah, no, but it's just a cool, anti-establishment story, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the core tenets of this stuff could work with any kind of scenario. And I think that's part of why it works so well. It's very universal in terms of its themes and like the characters and their motivations. It just has this Japanese futuristic bent on it.
Yeah.
So, and again, I want to see the movie version of this.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. With me playing the Eternal Warrior. Come on, man.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying too. Like he does mention how it kind of works when you're walking through the swamp.
Yeah.
So duty keeps me coming back, and I always like that kind of stuff there, where it's. I mean, sometimes it's gonna be a bit silly, like the original DuckTales with that one like what's called Spanish guy who's been alive for hundreds of years through sheer force of will. It's a little like, yeah, a little too much. But with the whole connection to the earth and stuff, it kind of feels almost like if you bury him, the earth will kind of give him back life and then like spit him out again.
Right.
Which is also why it's kind of cool back in Ivar Time Walker Volume 2. The fact that he was kind of in more danger because he was up in space, not on Earth. So like he doesn't have the protection of the Earth anymore while he's in space. Oh, sorry, just made me think of something though. Could there be like other Eternal Warriors on other planets? Again, not specifically like him, but are other planets also maybe sentient where they could have like an equivalent? Again, I don't want like a Green Lantern thing where every planet has an Eternal Warrior.
Well, I'm thinking more like...
Or a Geomancer.
Yeah, well, because the Geomancer seemed like a special thing that had to happen with the... that whole thing that we saw where the Geomancer was created, the first Geomancer. I mean, that would have had to happen on every single planet, and I think that's pretty unlikely.
It could be a cool story for sometime in the future.
Yeah, maybe.
So, like, some kind of reason for what's called Gila to go into space or whatever. And he comes to a planet with a similar setup, but maybe like evil or something. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's like, it's the same setup with the Geomancer and Eternal Warrior, but, they actually, instead of just being like sort of a guiding force, they've actually like enslaved humanity. Or
Oh god. Yeah.
God, that's the thing, and that's what I love about this stuff. The concepts are relatively simple, but they allow you to kind of play with them.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a simple little just a change there in the dynamic, and ooh, there's a whole volume there. And we get to learn that it's so we shouldn't enslave what's called people just because we destroy nature. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's I gotta say, like, just in general, this whole volume, and I guess Rai in general as well, like the series,
Yeah.
it's very packed.
Yeah, well, because I think it knows what it wants to do. That's the thing.
Exactly, and ignoring like sort of the filler we were mentioning with the whole act stuff. This like worked really well in terms of a lot of cool things happening.
Yeah.
Wow. And just a prelude to the actual proper one. It's gonna be fun though. I mean, we're basically gonna have 3 weeks of Rai.
Yes.
It's gonna be 4001 AD. Then it's gonna be the volume 4 of Rai, which is the 4001 AD tie-in.
Yeah, yes.
And then what's called the volume with all 4 of the tie-in issues, like about it, like that aren't like part of a series.
Oh yes, I love it.
So like 4001 AD, it was like 4001 AD Exo Manowar, 4001 AD Shadowman, I think.
All right. It's gonna make up for the Imperium from last episode.
Like 4001 AD Imperium.
Fuck you.
I don't think that was there, but that's the thing. It's going to be a really cool event, and I remember. I'll save the story for that time because it feels kind of out of place here.
Okay.
That was just about like how I wanted to be part of it as it happened, and I got the first issues of everything, and then for whatever reason I didn't continue.
Okay.
So though I did get the volume in the end, and then read it all. But yeah, any other things you want to mention about how awesome Rai is, or Gilad, or?
No, I think I've already said all I can. I mean, it is what it is. One of the best things ever.
All right then.
You can discuss this episode on Reddit. Tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site Podbean. Links are in the show notes. Catch us next time for
Unity Volume 7, Revenge of the Armor Hunters.